Golden Radio Hour.
Wait a minute. Have you heard the strange tales of the Whistler?
I'm the Whistler.
I don't know what it is. It's a figure. I can't tell whether it's a man or a woman. It comes through the door and walks with outstretched arms toward my bed, reaching for me.
Sunday night, and again CBS presents The Whistler.
I, the Whistler, know many things, for I walk by night. I know many strange tales, many secrets hidden in the hearts of men and women who have stepped into the shadows. I know the nameless terrors of which they dare not speak. And so I tell you the weird tale of jealousy. At the edge of the cliff overlooking the sea sits a gray stone mansion, weather-beaten by the storms of several decades. To this mansion, Gilbert Durant brought his bride, Lucia. That was 4 years ago. Gilbert and Lucia were quite happy until last year, when Lucia's half-sister, Beverly, came to live with them. And gradually, something began to happen. At first, Lucia realized that Gilbert's ardor was beginning to cool. He became more absorbed in his writing. Then she felt the cold clamminess of the stone structure almost creep about her and clutch her. Fear grew in her mind, a fear that nearly took her breath. It is evening now, and Lucia, having excused herself at dinner, tosses on her bed in a fretful sleep.
No. Don't! Get away from me! Ah! No!
What's wrong?
Benson, come in!
What was wrong? Why were you screaming?
Benson, I must have been dreaming. It was horrible.
You're white as a ghost. You're shaking like a leaf.
Yes, I know. Oh, Mrs. Benson, I can't stand it. It's driving me mad. That makes the 4th or 5th time I've dreamed the same thing. The same thing in every detail.
I've never heard you scream before.
It always comes a little closer to me. Tonight, it almost reached me.
It? What do you mean?
I don't know what it is. It's a figure. A human figure. But I can't tell whether it's a man or a woman. It comes through that door and walks slowly across the room with its arms outstretched, reaching for me.
Are you sure you were dreaming?
Oh, now that I think of it, it isn't like a dream, an ordinary dream. Its reality seems to carry over even after I'm awake.
Oh, that's what's made you so ill.
This dream, if it is a dream, means something? Is that what you think? It's a premonition?
Perhaps.
What time is it?
9 o'clock.
Where's Gilbert?
Your husband went horseback riding over an hour ago. Your sister went with him.
Beverly? Why didn't he ask me to go?
Well, you know you haven't been feeling very well lately.
Oh, yes. Yes, of course.
Well, if you're feeling better, I'll go back to my room.
Oh, yes, I'll be all right. Good night.
Good night, ma'am.
Beverly. Gilbert and Beverly.
Lucia lies for a while, staring wild-eyed at the patch of moonlight on the bedroom door. And finally she drops off to sleep. Then as the clock strikes 10:30, the door opens slowly, silently. A figure steps into the room and moves noiselessly through the moonlight to Lucia's bed and stands staring at her. Suddenly, Lucia opens her eyes.
Gilbert, don't.
Lucia, what's wrong with you?
What are you doing in my room?
Why, I just wanted to know how you felt.
How long have you been standing there?
Oh, just a few seconds.
Oh, I was dreaming, I guess, and when I woke up, you startled me.
Why were you yelling, don't?
I don't know. I haven't the slightest idea.
I talked to Dr. Hanby about you today. Told him you were run down, and he suggested I get a tonic for you. I'll drop in at the drugstore on my way home tomorrow evening.
A tonic?
Yes.
What is it?
Oh, I don't remember. Something in strychnine.
Strychnine?
Yes, he said it would give you an appetite.
Where have you been, Gil?
Oh, I've been riding. Nice moonlight night. Very pleasant.
Did Beverly enjoy it?
Yes, she's an excellent rider. I've decided to buy that filly from Thompson. Going over there tomorrow afternoon.
Beverly going with you?
Yes, she's a good judge of horseflesh. Why?
Nothing. I just asked.
Well, good night, Lucia. See you at breakfast?
Yes. Good night.
Lucia waits till she hears her husband turn out his light, then slips quickly to her door and quietly down the stairs to the library. With every beat of her pulse, she hears Gil's words.
Something in strychnine. Something in strychnine.
She snaps on the light and steps to the shelf holding the encyclopedia. She runs her fingers down the long line of books, LMNO, P to R. And then she stops and stares in terror. The S to T is missing. Lucia glances wildly about the room, and then she sees it. There on the desk, the missing volume, and open. She rushes to the desk and stares down at the open page.
Good Lord! It's true. It's true.
I'll tell you what, Beverly. I'll leave the deal entirely up to you.
Up to me? Oh, Gil, that's not fair.
Why not?
Well, suppose she turns out to be a lemon.
I don't think she will, because you're going to have the job of training her.
Oh, you certainly flatter me.
Not in the least. Oh. Good morning, Lucia.
I just realized what time it was. You'll be leaving in a few minutes.
Yes, it's 9 this very minute. I better step on it. More coffee, Beverly?
No, thanks. How do you feel, Lucia?
Why, better. Much better.
You better eat something.
No, I can't.
At least some coffee.
Yes, I'll have some coffee.
I've got to run. See you later, Lucia.
Yes, Gil.
And I'll see you this afternoon at 2, Beverly.
Yes, I'll meet you in town at 2. Oh, Gil, don't forget Lucia's medicine.
I won't. Goodbye, Lucia.
Are you meeting Gil in town, Beverly?
Yes, he wants me to decide on that filly he's interested in.
Where did you learn so much about horses?
Well, it seems to be natural. Why don't you get interested in horses, Lucia?
Why should I?
What are you interested in?
Well, I'm interested in a few things. My husband in particular.
You don't act interested in anything.
Really?
If you'll take my advice, you'll snap out of this coma and get some pep.
Does Gil like women with pep?
No man cares about a woman who sits around and mopes. I think you're a hypochondriac.
Do you?
You should do something about it.
I intend to. I intend to do something about it.
I'm glad to hear it. Get out and do things. Play games, golf, tennis, swim, and ride. Maybe this medicine will fix you up.
You know all about it, do you? What is it?
Oh, I don't know. It's a tonic, a builder-upper.
I wish I could believe that.
At least you can try it. It won't hurt you.
No? I wonder. Oh, come in, Doctor.
Yeah, Lucia. What'd you call me out here? What's wrong?
I just couldn't make it into town.
Oh, it can't be as bad as that.
Did Gilbert talk to you about me yesterday?
Oh, I saw Gil for a few moments at the club during lunch. Said you were run down.
Did you give him a prescription for me?
I never do that until I've examined the patient.
You didn't give him a prescription.
Well, no.
What did you suggest for me?
Oh, I don't know. Just mentioned a few tonics he might get for you. Spoke of beef iron and wine, and sherry and egg, and I don't remember what else.
Then you mentioned nothing specifically.
Don't think so.
I see.
What seems to be wrong with you, Lucia?
I don't know exactly. Something has been happening to me that... Well, frankly, I'm afraid I'm losing my mind.
Oh, come now. We all feel that way at times.
I'm serious. Things happen to me in the night.
What sort of things?
First, I thought they were just nightmares. But when you have a nightmare, you wake up and the fear's gone. You realize the truth. This vision that comes to me haunts me through the waking hours as well.
Vision?
Something, I think it's a person Comes through my bedroom door. Approaches my bed with outstretched arms as though it intends to strangle me. Each time it comes a little closer. My fear is that eventually it will get to me before I wake up.
You always dream the same dream?
If it is a dream, yes.
Who is the person?
I don't know.
And you don't think it's really a dream?
No. I think it's a premonition.
Well, have you any basis for such a fear in real life? Is there someone or something that you're afraid of?
Doctor, I'm convinced that they're not dreams. And I'm not asleep.
Oh, nonsense.
I'm positive they're not mere dreams.
Well, I think it's all due to your rundown condition. You probably don't sleep as soundly as you should, and so you transfer sounds in the night to dreams, nightmares.
That's exactly what I mean. If I'm only half asleep, I may be transferring actual movements and sounds into dreams. In other words, if someone slams the door in the night, I may half hear it and attribute it to a dream.
Yes, go on.
And perhaps I'm not dreaming.
I think you'd better come into town and have a thorough physical.
You mean a checkup by a psychiatrist?
Well, I may have someone to help me. It's a usual thing, you know.
Oh. Oh, Dr. Henry. I'm so frightened.
Oh, now. Everything's going to be all right.
I'm afraid. I'm afraid that I'm going to die. That someone is trying to kill me.
You're not going to die. That's ridiculous.
I'll call you and make an appointment.
Very well. In the meantime, try not to think about it. Keep your mind on something on the brighter side.
Yes, I'll try.
Yes, try, Lucia. Try hard to keep your mind on something brighter. But you can't, can you? That awful gnawing of jealousy and fear occupy every moment. Gil and Beverly, Gil and Beverly. How could they do such a thing? Then, as the afternoon fades and dusk sets in, there is a knock at Lucia's door.
Are you asleep, Lucia?
No, I'm not asleep.
How are you feeling?
I seem to have developed a headache.
Have you eaten anything today?
No, I didn't care for anything.
Well, this will help you. Better take a dose now. I'll measure it for you.
What is it?
Why, it's the tonic.
Did Dr. Hanby prescribe it?
Well, yes. Yes, he did.
Where's Beverly?
Down in the library.
Did you buy the horse?
Yes, Beverly thought you was a fine animal.
I didn't know Beverly knew so much about horses.
She's a horsewoman after my own heart.
Is she?
Rides like the wind, too.
She had intended to go home tomorrow. She's staying on?
She's got to. I wouldn't think of her leaving now.
Why not?
Well, for one thing, she's going to train the horse.
And what else?
Why, nothing else. Here, take this. It's a little bitter, but you'll get used to it.
Gil.
Go ahead. It won't hurt you.
I don't want it.
And why not?
It has poison in it.
Well, I suppose it does have a little, yes, but only enough to act as a tonic.
I don't want it. I won't take it. I won't.
Are you going to act like a child? Take it and quit arguing.
I won't. I won't.
This is ridiculous. I tried to do anything for you, and you act like a spoiled kid.
I can't take it.
You're impossible, Lucia.
I'm afraid.
You need this medicine, but you're too confoundedly stubborn. You'd rather sit around and mope all day. Very well, there it is. You can take it or not. Disgusted trying to help you pull out of this. Good night.
No, wait, Gil. I'll take it. I'll take it.
I don't care whether you do or not.
There, I've taken it. Terribly bitter.
And take another dose around 11.
Gil, where's Mrs. Benson?
Why, I told her she could have the night off. Thought she might like to spend the evening in town.
You let her off?
Yes, she's been sticking pretty close lately.
Oh, yes. Yes, she has. Good night.
Good night, Lucia.
What's wrong, Gil? You look upset.
I am. Lucia didn't want to take it.
No? Why not?
She's afraid of medicine.
What are you going to do?
She finally took a dose of it. If I know her at all, she'll never take another drop.
Well, she's got to take it, Gil. You've got to figure out a way to make her take it.
It can't be disguised. It's too bitter.
Try something else.
I'll try and coax her into it again.
Isn't there something that tastes more pleasant, or something that you could put in milk or orange juice?
I don't know. Well, I'll find something.
course you will. We've got to.
I think Mrs. Benson is the cause of her dislike for medicine. She's keeping her upset. I'm going to let Mrs. Benson go for 2 or 3 days, and maybe something can be accomplished. I'll speak to her now. Well, Benson, what are you doing standing here in the dark?
I was just going upstairs to see if Mr. Durant wanted anything before I went out.
I see. Oh, by the way, I'm staying home for a couple of days, and I thought that since you've been staying so close to the job, you'd welcome a few days' leave.
Leave? Why, yes, but Mrs. Durant may prefer that I stay.
I think you'd better get a little rest yourself. You needn't come back till Friday.
But I don't need a rest.
You come back Friday.
Yes, very well, sir. I'll run up and see her before I go.
Come in. Oh, Benson. I thought you were going into town for the evening.
I'm leaving in a few minutes, but I had to see you.
I'm glad you came up. I've got to talk to someone. I know now they're not dreams. They are premonitions. And I know who's trying to kill me.
Who?
My husband and Beverly.
I know.
You know?
I just heard them talking low in the library. They were talking about the medicine. He said you were too stubborn and probably wouldn't take another dose. And she said he'd have to find some way to make you take it.
Then it is poison. They want me out of the way. I got angry because I refused to take it.
Oh, yes, and there's something else. He just told me that he would not be going into town for several days and told me not to come back here till Friday.
Good Lord.
I'll go on into town as planned, but I'll slip back toward midnight and come up the back way.
And I won't take a thing they give me.
I'll be back at midnight.
Thank you, Benson. Good night.
Good night, ma'am.
A few minutes before 12, Mrs. Benson returns to the mansion. No lights are burning, so she makes her way quietly through the back entrance, slips up the stairs, and taps lightly on Lucia's bedroom door.
Mrs. Durant. Mrs. Durant.
Then she turns the knob, opens the door, and snaps on the light.
Mrs. Durant, are you here?
Then Benson steps quickly toward the bed. The bed is empty, but a horrible sight meets her eyes.
Blood. Blood all over the bed. They've done it. They've murdered her. Give me the police department.
All right, Mrs. Benson. What happened this evening?
Well, earlier in the evening, Mr. Durant told me I could have the night off, since I'd been staying close to Mrs. Durant for some time.
Mm-hmm.
And then later, he said he decided to let me off until Friday. But I didn't want to go, and he insisted.
Is there anyone else in the house?
Yes, Mrs. Durant's half-sister, Beverly.
Did you leave the house?
Yes, but I went up and told Mrs. Durant I'd be back about midnight.
If you had till Friday, why did you come back at midnight?
Because we were both frightened.
Of what?
Well, Mrs. Durant had been having premonitions that someone was trying to kill her.
Who was trying to kill her?
She didn't know, but she was terribly frightened.
Is that all?
No. Her husband tried to get her to take some medicine he had brought home. She refused, and he got angry.
How do you know he was angry?
I heard him talking about it to Beverly. They were in the library. And he told Beverly that Lucia was very stubborn. And Beverly said that he'd have to think of some other way.
Did Mrs. Durant suspect her husband and Beverly of trying to do away with her?
Yes, she did. She was convinced that Mr. Durant and Beverly were in love and wanted her out of the way.
So you came back tonight because you anticipated that something was going to happen?
Yes. The house was dark, so I came up the back stairs, knocked on her door, and when I got no answer, I came in, turned on the lights, saw she was gone, and then I saw the bed all covered with blood. She wouldn't take the poison, so they did it another way. That's what they planned in the library.
Where are they now? Any idea?
Well, they didn't expect me back tonight, so they've probably gone to dispose of the body, intending to come back here and clean the place up later.
I see. Anybody else know about Mrs. Durant's fears?
Yes. She talked to Dr. Hanby. I called him right after phoning the police and told him about it. He knows.
Dr. Hanby, Captain Rick.
What in the world is the meaning of this?
From all indications, Mrs. Durant has been murdered and the body disposed of. Doctor, I understand Mrs. Durant told you that she was afraid that something was going to happen to her, that she was going to die.
Who told you that?
Mrs. Benson here.
I see. Well, she did call me in this morning. She'd been having strange dreams. Premonitions, she called them. I called them hallucinations.
Who did she think it was?
Well, she couldn't tell whether it was a man or a woman, but someone was always approaching her bed with outstretched arms, trying to choke her.
Do you think it was more than a dream?
Well, she was a sort of hypochondriac. I asked her to come into town where I could give her a thorough examination. I didn't take her story too seriously, but, well, it certainly puts a different slant on the entire picture.
Yes, we haven't found the body. I have men out searching now. We'll find it.
Well, here's Mr. Durant and his sister-in-law. They found him about a half mile down the beach.
How are you, Durant?
What in the world goes on here? Oh, what's wrong, Doctor?
Take a look at that bed.
Good Lord, what's happened? Lucia, where is she?
We thought you could enlighten us on that point.
What do you mean? Is she dead? Where is she?
Gil.
Beverly.
Give her some water. She'll be all right in a minute.
But what's happened?
We think your wife has been murdered.
Murdered? What are you doing here, Mrs. Benson? I thought you were gone till Friday.
Why did you tell her to go until Friday?
Why, I thought she needed a rest. She's been having long hours. Where is Lucia?
Where have you and your sister-in-law been?
Why, I slept upstairs and saw Lucia was asleep, so we decided to take a little ride down the beach. It was still early.
Didn't take anything with you?
Certainly not.
What do you mean by that? What would we take?
I don't know. I just asked. Did you two try to get Lucia to take some medicine?
No.
Wait a minute, Beverly. That won't do any good. Yes, we did. She was run down and needed a tonic, but she refused to take medicine.
Why did she refuse?
I don't know.
Maybe she was afraid of being poisoned.
That's ridiculous. Why should I want to poison her? I loved Lucia.
How long has your sister-in-law Beverly been here with you?
Why, I don't know. It's quite some time.
Just a minute. Are you inferring that Gil and
I'm not inferring anything. I'm merely asking questions.
Well, whoever suggested such a thing is lying. Why, Gil and Lucia...
Just a moment, Beverly. Mrs. Benson, what have you been saying? What did you tell them?
I told them the truth.
You think I planned to kill Lucia? Is that it?
Yes, you and this woman.
Why, that's
You
ridiculous.
tried to get her to take some medicine. She knew you were in love with her sister, and you were trying to poison her.
When did she come to that conclusion?
She had premonitions.
That means nothing.
And besides, I heard you talking, you and Beverly, planning the whole thing.
What?
She's out of her
I
mind.
heard you, I tell you. When you realized Lucia wouldn't take the medicine, Beverly said you'd have to think of some other way.
Some other way to what?
To get rid of her. What else?
This is the most amazing thing I ever heard of. Dr. Hanby, you know better than this. Do you think I had a reason back of wanting to know about various medicines?
No, I didn't. Not at the time, but now...
Now what?
Well, I'm sorry to say it all adds up to something suspicious. Seems more than just coincidental.
Do you think I killed Lucia?
Well, look about you. Look at the room. What else am I to think?
What was the tonic you tried to give your wife?
It had strychnine in it.
That right, Durant?
Why, yes. It was one of the things Dr. Hanby mentioned. It was iron, quinine, and strychnine.
Did you mention that, Doctor?
Well, I suppose I did. It's a commonly known tonic.
Did you add anything else to it, Durant?
Certainly not.
How about it, Sergeant? What's the report?
Why, the bottle contained iron, quinine, and strychnine, and a heavy content of arsenic.
Arsenic? But it isn't possible. I put nothing in it. Where would I get arsenic?
Well, it was in there just the same.
Good Lord, Doctor, it isn't true. You know it isn't.
I hate to say it, Gil, but the evidence looks bad for you.
Benson knows what all this is about. She's lying. She knows Gil wouldn't do such a thing. She's back of it all.
Why?
I don't know, but believe me, I'll find out if I have...
That'll do. Under the circumstances, I think you'd all better come down to headquarters so we can keep you separated. Come on. And no more talking.
48 hours pass. Hours of relentless grilling, endless questioning. Finally, Gil and Beverly are released on a writ of habeas corpus. Now weeks have gone by, and Lucia's body has not been discovered, and so the district attorney is forced to make a public announcement that in spite of the apparent evidence, no murder charges can be preferred against Gil and Beverly due to lack of corpus delicti, the failure to produce Lucia's body. Now Beverly and Gil are in the library.
Beverly, I want you to know how wonderful I think you've been, the way you've stuck right beside me through this thing. I know it's been a trial for you, and, well, you're one girl in a million.
Thanks, Gil, but it isn't over yet. They won't stop their search for Lucia's body, and if they find it, we haven't a chance.
I know, but what can we do about it?
Well, why couldn't we leave the country?
Together?
Not necessarily. They'd be sure to follow us. We could go separately in different ways, and...
And meet someplace later on? Is that what you mean?
Yes, that's what I mean.
That seems a bit mad. That would equal an out-and-out confession.
But, Gil, if they find Lucia's body, we haven't a chance. It's too strong against us.
We never could come back, Beverly.
Oh, what of it? I don't want to die, Gil, and I don't want anything to happen to you.
Beverly, I don't know what to say.
I'm frightened, Gil. I can't stay here with such horrible fear hanging over me. I'll go mad. If you don't go, then I will. I'll leave tonight.
Please, Beverly, I need you more than ever now. Please don't go.
Don't worry, Gilbert. She won't leave you.
Lucia.
Good Lord.
I won't let her leave you. I'll see that you both go together and stay together for a long, long time.
Lucia, what does this mean? We thought you were dead.
Disappointed, are you?
Where have you been?
What happened to you?
You're coming to that. You thought I was dead. Well, I'm not. I'm live enough to pull this trigger. I've been behind those drapes, and I heard every word you said. Now I know you're in love with each other. Now I know you wanted to do away with me.
In love? With Beverly?
From the day she came here. She took you away from me.
I did not.
We never thought of such a thing, never.
It never entered my mind.
Why do you lie about it? You do love her. Why don't you admit it?
I love Beverly?
Yes.
You certainly have a vicious mind, Lucia. For the first time, I see you for what you really are. I never even thought of such a thing. But now that you mention it, I realize the truth. Yes, I do love Beverly.
Gil, don't.
Why shouldn't I? And it's Lucia's fault. She's the cause of it. A suspicious-minded devil. She let her imagination run away with her. She built this thing up, and now it's boomeranged on her. Oh, what a mess you've made of things, Lucia.
You mean you and Beverly, you didn't plan?
Certainly not. You must have been out of your mind.
Oh, Gil. Gil. I thought... I was sure. Oh, Gil. Gil.
I'm sorry, Lucia, but that's the way it is. And you've no one to blame but your own miserable self.
No one to blame but her own miserable, jealous, suspicious-minded self. Lucia planned the whole thing from the beginning. She thought they were in love, thought they were planning to kill her. Lucia never had a dream, never had a premonition. She planted that in the housekeeper's mind and in the doctor's. She put the rat poison in the tonic. She put the bedroom in disorder, cut herself and smeared blood on the bed, and then disappeared. But when she read that they couldn't bring a murder charge without the body, she came back to kill Gil and Beverly herself. You see, Lucia didn't know about that little article in the law called Corpus Delicti.
CBS has presented The Whistler. Original music for this production was composed and conducted by Wilbur Hatch. The Whistler is written by and directed by J. Donald Wilson and originates from Columbia Square in Hollywood. Next Sunday, 9:15.
I, the Whistler, will return to tell you the eerie tale of Back from Beyond. Good night.
This is the Columbia Broadcasting System. Wait a minute. Have you heard the strange tales of the Whistler?
Whistler. I get a terrible feeling of depression, and then this awful urge comes upon me. The urge to hurt someone. The urge to inflict pain. The urge to kill.
Another Sunday night, and again CBS presents The Whistler.
I, the Whistler, know many things, for I walk by night. I know many strange tales, many secrets hidden in the hearts of men and women who have stepped into the shadows. I know the nameless terrors of which they dare not speak. And so I tell you tonight the unusual tale, the urge to kill. Henry Drake sits in his big office staring out over the smoking stacks of his busy factory. Production is at its peak. The demands of the past year have brought untold problems to his desk and placed heavy loads on his shoulders. Henry Drake and his partner, Philip Putnam, had started this factory 5 years ago and built it into a smooth-running, highly profitable organization. But now the added demands of war have more than trebled the production and the worries as well. Phil had put up most of the money, and Henry the brains. It was Henry who always had to make the decisions. But now something is happening to Henry. He is beginning to slip. His memory is playing tricks on him.
Good morning, Mr. Drake.
Oh. Morning, Ethel.
Mr. Putnam wants to know if you studied those contracts last night.
Contracts? What contracts?
Why, the ones he gave you last night. You said you'd take them home. They must be signed by noon.
Contracts? Why, I don't know what you're talking about. When did Phil give me any contracts?
Why, just before you left last evening.
Well, that's funny.
Don't you remember?
What? Remember? Well, yes. Yes, I do remember now. Yes, of course.
Well, may I have them?
Well, let me see. What on earth did I do with them? Oh, tell Mr. Putnam to step in here.
Yes, Mr. Drake. Mr. Drake would like to see you, Mr. Putnam.
I'll be right in.
I'll ring if I need you, Ethel.
All right.
Good morning, Henry. What's up?
Why, about those contracts you gave me yesterday evening. Just what were they about?
What? What do you mean? Haven't you read them?
No. No, I haven't.
Good heavens, man. They were supposed to be signed by noon today, and it's 10 o'clock now. Now, where are they?
I don't know where they are, Phil. I can't find them. I'm sure I didn't take them home.
Oh, you must have.
Strange. I can't remember a thing about them.
Well, what did you do after you left here? Where'd you go?
Why, I went home. That is, I think I did.
Think you did? What's the matter with you, Henry?
I don't know, Phil. I can't seem to recall a thing I did last evening.
Are you kidding?
Certainly not. Why should I kid about such a thing?
Well, don't get sore about it. It's certainly ridiculous. This is a serious situation.
I know, Phil. I know that better than you do.
Well, call your home. They've got to be there. Have Rita send them over by special messenger.
Yes, sir?
Get Mrs. Drake on the phone. You don't look very well, Henry. You're as pale as a ghost. Look at the perspiration. What's wrong with you, man?
I don't know. I really don't know. I feel terrible, and my eyes are bothering me. Bright flashes keep passing in front of me, and my ears throb.
Oh, hello? Oh, Rita, this is Phil. Henry brought a contract home to study last evening. Look around and see if you can find it, Yeah, it's very important. In a blue binder, about 20 pages. What? I see. Thanks. She's in the library now.
Oh.
Yes? You can't? Yes. I see. Really? Well, all right. Now, call me back.
Well, what about it?
You have no idea what happened to you after you left here last evening at 6?
Did I leave at 6?
Certainly. So did I. She said you didn't come home for dinner. She decided to go to the opera. And when she came back at 12, you didn't come in until 1. Said your shoes and trousers were all covered with mud. You went straight to bed.
Was it raining last night?
Of course it was.
I don't remember that.
Rita's going to look in the coat and suit you were wearing last night. She'll call me back.
What on earth is happening to me? Where could I have gone?
Yes? Yes, Rita. Well, you couldn't. I see. Very well, thanks. Goodbye. Not a trace of the contract. Now what?
Phil, I've got to tell you this. This isn't the first time this has happened. It's been going on for weeks. About twice every week, a terrible depression comes over me, and then when I wake up, I can't for the life of me remember what happened the night before.
Well, maybe the strain has been too much. You better see a doctor at once, Henry.
Oh, I know I should, but I'm afraid to.
Why?
I'm afraid of what he might tell me.
Oh, nonsense. Go and see a doctor right now. I'll go down to your place and search it from top to bottom.
Very well, Phil. I'll go now. I'll be back as soon as I can.
Henry stumbles in a daze from his office and walks about the city for an hour trying to make up his mind to see a doctor. He doesn't have the courage to tell his own doctor, so he finally decides to visit a psychiatrist. Then he remembers the name of one of the most famous in the country, Dr. Schultz, the state psychiatrist.
I know you're not a general practitioner, Dr. Schultz. As a state psychiatrist, I know you're a busy man, but I've read a few of your books, and I thought you'd be willing to help me.
Well, ordinarily I wouldn't, Mr. Drake, but I know who you are and what you've been doing. I'll do what I can.
Thank you, Doctor.
You say you have lapses of memory?
Yes. I wake up in the morning and can't remember what happened the night before. In the morning, I have headaches and see strange flashes before my eyes and hear throbbing noises.
How often does this occur?
About twice a week, but I remember everything I do during the day.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever had a serious ailment?
No.
Ever had an accident? Anything that might have caused a concussion?
Well, not that I remember. I may have had as a child.
Have you been working under an exceptional mental strain?
Yes, I have. The pressure's been more than doubled. For the last year, the problems have been so heavy that I've been unable to sleep. I've studied them until dawn, until finally I was unable to remember them.
You don't go to sleep easily.
No, not till very late. From all appearances, I wander about until 1 o'clock in the morning. Where, I don't know.
You're married?
Yes.
What does your wife think of your strange behavior?
Well, naturally, she doesn't like it. She says I walk in and go to bed without saying a word. So now she doesn't even ask where I've been.
Are you and your wife incompatible?
Well, somewhat.
Have you ever been interested in another woman?
I have not.
Any children?
No.
Have you ever been caught in a predicament where you were forced to do something dishonest in order to escape a severe penalty?
Well, what do you mean?
Well, I'll put it another way. Do you fear anything or anybody?
No.
Do you hate anything or anybody?
Yes. Lately, I dislike my work, my business, intensely.
Why?
I don't know why. Maybe I've had too much of it.
Who is closest to you in your work?
Well, I have a partner, and we have a secretary.
And who are they?
My partner is Philip Putnam. My secretary is Ethel Watson.
Oh, you both have the same secretary?
Yes. That way we keep things more orderly.
Could you get along without her?
Oh, I never thought of it. She's very capable, but I suppose I could get along without her.
Does your partner have as much responsibility in the business as you?
I do most of the mental work.
You resent that?
You mean, do I think he should take more responsibility? Yes, I do. But he isn't capable. He plays golf and takes days off at a time. Yes, I do resent that. But I know nothing can be done about it.
Is your partner married?
No. For a while, I thought he and our secretary were growing fond of each other, but in the last few months, it seems to have cooled.
Are your financial affairs in order?
Exceptionally so, never better.
Are you worried about the outcome of the war?
No more than anyone else. I realize it'll keep every nose to the grindstone.
And you drink?
Oh, I'm temperate. Probably a little more of late.
Never took narcotics?
No. I've tried sleeping tablets, but they did me no good.
I see. Have you anything further to add to this discussion?
No.
Then I must ask you to leave and not come back.
What? Why, what do you mean, Doctor?
Just that. Leave and don't come back until you decide to tell me the truth.
But I've been telling you everything I know.
No, you haven't. There's something you've been withholding. Good day.
Wait a minute. What are you trying to say?
I'm not trying to say anything. I've told you that you're holding something back, some fear that you don't want known. But if you want me to help you, you'll have to divulge everything.
All right. I thought maybe you could help me without my telling, but... All right. I'll tell you what it is.
That's better.
It happens on these mornings when I fail to remember what has occurred the night before. It happens during these spells of flashes and noises.
What happens?
I get this terrible feeling of depression.
And then slowly, gradually, the urge comes to me.
The urge to what?
The urge to hurt someone, the urge to inflict pain, inflict injury on someone.
On whom?
Anyone, any person who comes into my mind, anyone I see or think about, the waitress in the cafe, my secretary, my chauffeur, my wife, my partner, a laborer, anyone.
Have you ever killed anyone, Drake?
No, I swear never, and I don't want to. And that's why I'm here. I'm afraid of myself. I don't want to harm anyone. I'd rather die.
Would you?
Yes. All right. Now you know. That's my great fear. Something's got to be done about it. You've got to help me.
Very well, Drake. I'm glad you finally told me. Now I know what to do, know where to start.
You don't think I'm going completely to pieces? Mentally, I mean.
No, I don't think so.
You think it's just temporary?
Let's not talk about it anymore.
But what can I do?
I want you to stay away from the business for a week. Don't go near it. Don't think about it. I want you to stay in bed as much as possible. Read something in a light vein. Putter about if you like. In the garden, say. Anything but business. At the end of the week, I want to see you again. But above all, rest. Rest your mind and your body.
Yes, I understand. And you think you think that will bring me out of these spells?
I think everything will turn out for the best.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Schultz. I appreciate all this, and I'll see you in a week.
Goodbye, Mr. Drake. And Miss Burton.
Yes, Dr. Schultz.
Did you take down that interview, Miss Burton?
Yes, Doctor. I made a recording of it.
Thank you.
So Henry goes home and stays in bed for 3 days, according to the doctor's instructions. Then, toward midnight of the third evening, his wife Rita comes home and is startled to find him gone.
Jackson?
Oh, yes, Mrs. Drake.
Jackson, where's Mr. Drake?
Why, Mr. Drake is in his room.
But he isn't. He's gone.
Gone? But I didn't see him go out, ma'am.
When did you see him last?
Why, it was about 9:30. I looked in to see if there was anything he wanted before I retired.
What did he say? Was he dressed?
No, ma'am. He was in bed. He said he didn't want anything and that I might as well turn in.
Where on earth could he have gone on a rainy night like this?
Well, shall I go out and try to find him, ma'am?
No. No, never mind, Jackson. You can go back to bed.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Can't imagine why on earth he'd go out when he wasn't feeling well. Hello? Phil? This is Rita. I just came in and Henry isn't here. I don't know. The butler said he saw him at 9:30 and he was in bed. Why would he go out in a storm? What reason could he possibly have? No, I don't think so. I hope he doesn't. Yes. Good night, Phil. Yes, I'll see you tomorrow evening if possible. Good night.
As Rita hangs up the receiver, she suddenly realizes the library door is closed, but a streak of light shows beneath it. She steps quickly to the door and opens it softly.
Henry.
Huh?
What are you doing here?
Oh. Hello, Rita.
Why aren't you in bed?
In bed? Why, I don't know.
Who are you phoning?
Phoning? Oh, I was just thinking about phoning the doctor. I wanted to talk to him.
At this hour of the night? It's 12 o'clock.
12? Yeah, so it is.
Wait till morning.
Yes. Anyway, I can't remember what I wanted to say to him.
Where have you been?
Where have I been? I haven't been anyplace.
But you must have. Look at your topcoat. It's soaking wet. And look at your shoes. They're muddy.
That's strange. I don't remember having gone out. I thought I'd been sitting right here all evening.
But it's obvious that you haven't been here all evening. You have been out.
Perhaps so.
This is the second or third time you've come in with your shoes all muddy. Where do you go at this time of night?
I tell you, I don't remember.
I don't believe you.
Whether you do or not, I don't remember where I've been.
It's the silliest thing I ever heard of. A man like you, an intelligent man, walking around in his sleep.
But I couldn't have been asleep. I know that much.
Nonsense.
Oh, don't be so impatient, Rita. I don't like this any more than you do, but I'm sure I'll be all right in a short time. Dr. Schultz will pull me out of it.
Well, I hope so.
Have you been out, Rita?
Why, of course. I told you early in the evening I was going to play bridge with the Parkers.
Oh, perhaps you did, but I don't remember that either.
I told you just the same.
Oh, I'm sorry, Rita. I know this must be very trying for you. It isn't very pleasant to have a man mope about the house all the time.
Better go to bed, Henry, and get off those wet clothes.
Oh, yes. Rita, why don't you go away for a few days? Take a little rest. I know you're terribly upset about all this, and Well, it would do you good.
It wouldn't be exactly right for me to go away at a time like this. What would people think of me?
Well, who cares what people think? You could go up to the mountains or down to Miami or, well, any place. Maybe by the time you come back, I'll be all right.
Do you want me to go?
Oh, I don't want you to go, but I think it would be good for you. You're becoming upset because of me, and I think you'd worry less if you got away for a few days.
Very well. Perhaps you're right. We'll talk about it in the morning.
All right. Good night, Rita.
Good night.
Henry sits for a while staring at the telephone, then gets up slowly and shuffles up the steps to his room. He pauses for a few moments before Rita's door, then goes on to his own room and goes to bed. The storm continues in its fury, and from his kennel in the backyard, Duke, Rita's Airedale, begins to howl. Finally, the storm subsides. Morning comes, and Henry joins Rita at breakfast.
What's the matter, Henry? You haven't eaten a bite.
No, I'm not hungry. I don't feel at all well this morning.
You do look pale. I've never seen you so haggard.
No?
What's the matter with your hands?
My hands?
Well, yes, you keep staring at them and flexing your fingers.
Oh, I don't know. They seem to... Well, it feels like rheumatism.
Have some coffee.
Yes, I believe I will.
Here you are. Oh, good heavens. All over the floor.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just seem to have no grip. Getting bad. I can't even hold on to a cup. Rita, what have you decided about that trip? I wish you'd take a few days' vacation.
Oh, you sound as though you want to get rid of me.
I'm only thinking of you.
Very well, if you insist. I'll go up to the mountain place. Maybe it'll do us both some good.
Oh, Mrs. Drake! Mrs. Drake!
Jackson, what on earth are you so excited about?
Something terrible has happened.
Terrible? What do you mean?
I don't know how to tell you it. It's awful.
What are you trying to say?
It's Duke, your Airedale.
What's happened to him?
He's dead. I just went out to the kennel to unhook his chain, and there he was, ma'am.
Oh, good heavens. Well, what happened to him?
He's been strangled. There he was beside his house, and his tongue sticking way out. Oh, it's awful, ma'am.
Strangled? But why?
Who? Well, maybe he got tangled up in his chain, but it didn't appear so, ma'am. Somebody did it deliberately.
Oh, the poor fellow. I can't imagine such a thing.
Wait a minute, Rita. I wouldn't go out there.
Oh, but I must.
Please don't. It'll just upset you. Please don't go.
Very well. But, I'm just sick all over.
Oh, now, Rita, I know how you feel, and it's a shame. Jackson, tell the maid to pack Mrs. Drake's things. She's going to the mountains for a few days.
Henry Drake sits staring at his hands for a few moments, opening and closing them, opening and closing them. Then suddenly he leaves the house and rushes to Dr. Schultz's office.
What is wrong with you, Drake? You were to come here today after tomorrow.
I had to see you, Doctor. Something terrible has happened.
Now. Just calm down. Take it easy. Sit down, Drake.
It happened in the night.
What happened?
Duke, my wife's dog, he was killed last night.
Killed? Well, how did that happen?
He was strangled, choked to death.
Well, who did it?
I must have done it.
You? Oh, come now. What makes you think that?
I can't remember a thing about it. I can remember nothing of last night, but I must have done it because of my hands.
What's wrong with your hands?
They hurt. The muscles are terribly sore, as though I'd been doing something strenuous.
I see.
And look at this mark on my thumb. It's a long cut, as though something sharp had dragged across it.
You mean like a tooth?
Yes. Why not? The dog's tooth.
Certainly does. You really think you killed the dog?
What do you think, Doctor?
Well, I suppose it's possible, but there's no proof. Could be coincidental.
I don't think so. I must have done it. He never disturbed the neighbors that I know of.
Did you like the dog?
Why, of course. I was very fond of him. Don't you see what this means? I've been afraid of something like this. Heaven knows what else I've done when I've been in these lapses. You've got to do something for me.
Drake, I'm going to have to put you through all the tests. It'll take some time, But I think we can get at the root of your trouble.
Do anything you say.
We'll start right now. Miss Burton, get Dr. Fenton. I want him to assist me in a complete examination.
Yes, Dr. Schultz.
Now, Drake, just relax and continue staring into this little beam of light. We want you to answer these questions as quickly as possible.
Yes.
You're crossing a street. An automobile suddenly bears down upon you, you see?
Yes.
In an effort to save yourself, you jump out of the way.
Yes.
You jump forward or backward?
Why, backward?
Why?
I can jump backward quicker than I can forward.
Repeat after me as rapidly as possible. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 8, 9.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9.
You have no children?
No.
But you are married?
Yes.
Suppose you had a child. You come home at night and discover your house is on fire. Your wife and child are alone, asleep on the second floor. Will you try to rescue them first or call the fire department?
Call the fire department?
I see. Get all that with the timing, Miss Burton?
Yes, Doctor.
Now, Drake, keep your eyes on the black dot. Follow it closely as it moves. I'm going to call out a series of words. As I call them, you will answer the word or phrase suggested by what I say.
Yes.
Green.
Grass.
Roses.
Funeral.
Orange.
Sunset.
Honeysuckle.
Home.
Violets.
Wife.
Red.
Blood.
Dog.
Hands.
Auto.
Wreck.
Rain.
Mud.
Love.
Hate.
Very well, Drake. Rest for 10 minutes, and we'll proceed to the next test. How do your hands feel?
Huh? Oh, why, about the same.
All right. Come with me, Miss Burton.
So on through the day, at various intervals, the psychiatrist continues his examination. And finally, Drake goes home completely exhausted. For an hour or two, he dozes in the library. Then about 9:30, Jackson, the butler, steps into the room.
Beg pardon, sir.
Huh? Oh, where have you been, Jackson?
Why, no one was here, sir. I went over to visit my brother for a few hours.
Where's Mrs. Drake?
Why, she's going to Miami for a few days, sir. Said to tell you she thought she'd better go today. Took the 6 o'clock train this evening.
Oh, I see.
Anything you want, sir?
No, you can turn in if you like.
Yes, thank you, sir. Good night.
All right.
Henry sits staring into the dark for almost an hour. Then slowly he rises, as if in a daze, puts on his hat and coat, slips out of the house, and starts to walk about in the night. Finally, he comes to an apartment house, climbs to the top floor, and knocks on the door.
Henry, what are you doing here?
I want to talk to you, Phil.
Well, come in. What's the matter with you? Sit down.
I don't want to sit down.
Well, just as you like. What do you want to talk about?
You have your bags packed. Are you going someplace?
Why, yes. I'm driving down to Boston for a week on business.
On business?
Yes, on business. I tried to reach you today, but was unable to. What on earth's wrong with you? What are you staring at?
You sure you're going to Boston?
Certainly I'm sure. What are you laughing about?
You aren't going to Boston. I know where you're going.
I tell you, I'm going to Boston.
I don't believe you.
What are you talking about?
Rita's gone to Miami. Why don't you go to Miami, too? Wouldn't you like that better? I think that'd be very jolly.
Oh, for heaven's sake, stop this nonsense.
Is Rita here?
Certainly not. Why should she be here?
I wonder. Couldn't you think of any reason?
I think you're out of your mind.
Do you? Really?
You certainly act like it.
Oh, but I'm not. I'm perfectly sane.
Oh, crazy people think they're sane.
Maybe I am crazy, but I don't feel crazy. I'm perfectly normal.
You'd better go home. You're in no condition to be wandering around.
Where's Rita?
I don't know where Rita is.
She hasn't been here?
No.
You're lying, Phil. She has been here.
That's ridiculous.
Look, here in the ashtray, one of Rita's special-made cigarettes.
Why, I put that there. I thought I'd try them.
Really? When did you take to using lipstick, Phil?
All right. She was here, but she left to catch a train at 6 o'clock.
And you'll catch the next one, is that it?
She came here to talk about you. She's terribly upset about your condition. She thinks... Well?
Well? What does she think?
She's become afraid of you.
Oh, has she? And what caused that?
Well, she... Why wouldn't she be upset? You've been acting like a lunatic. She thinks you killed her dog. Did you?
I don't remember. Maybe I did.
I've got to hurry. My train leaves in half an hour.
There's no train for Boston for 3 hours, but the train to Miami leaves in half an hour.
You'd better go home, Henry.
Why don't you admit it? Why lie about it? You're meeting her in Miami.
Get out of here.
You and Rita are in love. I know it. I've known it for weeks and weeks. Last night I found out for sure.
You're crazy.
Maybe I am. But I heard you both talking on the phone. She didn't know I was listening in on the extension in the library. I heard you agree to meet at a certain time. That's what I've been waiting for. Now I know.
All right. What of it? The way you've been acting is enough to make any woman dislike you.
Oh, so you admit it?
Yes. Now get out of here. Henry, put away that gun.
All right. I'm going to leave it right here when I'm through with it. I'm going to kill you.
You insane fool. You can't get away with a thing like this. You can't prove anything about Rita and me. They'll hang you.
I don't think so. Don't you remember? I'm crazy.
I'll fix you. Police department.
Go ahead. Call them. That's fine.
Hello? This is Phil Putnam, Rexley Apartments. There's a madman in my rooms. He's trying to kill me. It's crazy.
What a shame, Phil. You've missed the train.
Well, it's all over, Henry. You can sit down now and wait for the police. You won't have any more mental lapses now, will you, Henry? You won't need to. A slick job, Henry, and very beautifully planned. Everyone knows about your mental lapses, your illness, your desire to harm people. Rita knows about the dog. Your secretary knows about the contracts. And most important of all, Dr. Schultz knows that you've been suffering from a mental disorder for weeks. Oh, there'll be a trial. Your plea will be insanity. You'll go away for a while, and then all of a sudden you'll be cured and walk out a free man. Now we're in the courtroom. Dr. Schultz, the psychiatrist, is speaking.
Mr. Drake came to me with his troubles some weeks ago. Later, Dr. Fenton and I psychoanalyzed him thoroughly. Here is a signed statement of our findings at that time, attached to our findings as of yesterday. Henry Drake was then, and is now, absolutely sane. The whole thing was a plan to escape the death penalty for premeditated murder.
Well, there you go, Henry. The whole thing blew up in your face. A beautiful plan gone haywire. You should have spent less time thinking about your revenge, Henry, and more time studying psychology. Too bad.
CBS has presented The Whistler. Original music for this production is composed and conducted by Wilbur Hatch. The Whistler is written and directed by J. Donald Wilson and originates from Columbia Square in Hollywood. Next Sunday, 9:15.
I, the Whistler, will return to tell you the strange story of death in the morning. Good night.
This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Wait a minute. Have you heard the strange tales of the Whistler?
I'm the Whistler.
Nita, what is it? What's wrong with you?
I don't know. All of a sudden, I got a terrible feeling. A horrible feeling of foreboding. I'm frightened, Tom.
Another Sunday night, and again CBS presents The Whistler.
I, the Whistler, know many things, for I walk by night. I know many strange tales, many secrets hidden in the hearts of men and women who have stepped into the shadows. And so I tell you tonight the unusual story of Malice. Dr. Jacob Benton is the wealthiest citizen in a certain upstate county, as well as its most prominent physician and surgeon. Jacob Benton is a proud individual, proud of the fact that he comes from a long line of highly successful surgeons. And his greatest ambition is that his son, Tom, will follow in his footsteps and carry on the family tradition. Jacob has also a nephew, Harvey, son of Jacob's scapegoat brother, who married a girl from the wrong side of the town and finally disappeared, leaving Jacob to take care of his young son. After finishing high school, Tom and Harvey entered medical school. Harvey followed through and is to graduate next week. But Jacob's son, Tom, at the end of his third year, wandered over to the East Bottoms at the lower end of town and met a girl, lost interest in medicine, and refused to go back to school.
Tom.
Yes, Father?
Come into the library.
What do you want?
Where have you been? It's 2 a.m.
Why, I've been to a party.
Where?
A house party.
On the other side of town?
Yes. In the East Bottoms.
You've seen that girl, that Nita, again, haven't you?
Yes. What of it?
What of it? You're a disgrace to the name of Benton. I've told you time and again that you don't belong over there.
I like Nita because she's honest and genuine. She's not filled with a lot of silly ideas like Eloise.
Eloise is a fine girl. She belongs to an excellent family.
Oh, bosh. Eloise is a phony. Nita's a real fellow.
If you become serious about this girl, you'll be ostracized.
I know all about poor Uncle George. He went over to the East Bottoms and met a girl and went to the dogs. But it wasn't the girl. He was no good in the first place.
He was a stubborn fool, just like you.
I resent being told who and when and where.
Are you in love with this girl?
Yes.
I'm terribly disappointed in you, Tom. I'd prayed that you'd become a surgeon.
I don't like medicine.
You were wrapped up in your studies until you met this girl.
That's what you think.
I'm ashamed of you. Your cousin Harvey came from the lower end of town. I made him see the light. And then think of it. You about face and walk right into it. You quit school and he graduates next week.
All right, his name's Benton, too. Let him carry on. He likes medicine. It bores me.
This girl has made a fool of you. Oh, I could kill her.
I think I'd better go to bed. Good night.
Good night, young idiot. He's going to finish school if I have to...
What's all the racket about down here?
Oh, come in, Harvey.
I heard voices.
Yes, it was Tom. He's been to a party across town. Been out with that cheap girl again, that Nita.
Are you sure?
He admitted it. Says he's in love with her. Tossing his career to the winds over a woman like that.
How long has he been seeing her?
Several months, I suppose. That's why he wouldn't go back to school. All she's after is his money. How he ever met up with her, I'll never know.
I'm afraid I'm the cause of that, Uncle Jacob.
You? What do you mean?
Well, when I was home last summer, I went over there one evening, several evenings, in fact. Tom insisted on going along. I wanted to see some of the kids. I went to school with Nita, and, well, I introduced them.
Well, of all things, you were born over there, and if you insisted on going back, it was your own business. But Tom is my son. You knew how I felt about it. You had no right to take him over there.
I realize that now.
Well, something's got to be done about it, at once.
Yes, but what?
I'll put an end to it. Believe me, I'll find a way, and I'll stop at nothing.
For the remainder of the night, Jacob sits in the library studying the problem of what to do about Tom. And upstairs, young Harvey paces to and fro, pondering over the same question. The next morning, Harvey goes to the lower end of town to visit Nita.
Hello, Nita.
Harvey. Why, I didn't know you were back in town.
You didn't? I came home last night. I'm going back in a few days for graduation exercises. Have you missed me, Nita?
Why, yes.
Why haven't you written me in the last month or so?
Well, I've been busy.
Been across town lately?
No, why should I?
Mm-hmm. You know, it's a strange thing about this section called the East Bottoms. It means more than just a place. It's a huge barrier, an insurmountable obstacle. I was born over here, same as you. But I got an idea that I could cross over, and in time I'd be accepted as one of them. But I finally realized that I would never be accepted. I'd only be tolerated. I'd never be able to practice medicine over there.
I think that's all imagination.
I told you I had definitely decided to come back here and settle down. That's why I asked you to marry me.
I'm not satisfied here.
Since when?
I've never been satisfied here.
You belong here, Nita. You'll never be able to cross over. You'd be miserable. I know.
Maybe.
And Tom would never last over here. He'd wash up, just as my father did.
What are you talking about?
I know what's happened. You're throwing me over for Tom.
What?
You're after Tom because you think he'll take you out of this. Set you up on the other side. Well, he won't. You'll have to come over here, and he won't have a dime. You're not really in love with Tom.
I am in love with him, and he loves
it
me.
It won't last a month.
I'll make it last.
Oh, don't be a fool, Nita. Tom's father thinks you're a good-for-nothing, and he'll never change.
I don't care. I love Tom.
And when it came to a showdown, Tom would walk out on you.
I'm going to marry him. I've made up my mind.
Then there's nothing more I can say. Goodbye, Nita.
Goodbye.
That evening, Dr. Jacob comes to a decision, and he too crosses town and makes his way to Nita's apartment.
Well, what do you want to talk about, Dr. Benton?
About my son, Tom.
I see.
How long have you known him?
Oh, since last summer.
Have you seen him often?
Yes, several times a week for the last 2 months.
You think you're in love with him?
I don't think. I know I am.
I don't think he's in love with you. He's merely infatuated. You're interested in his position, his money.
You can think whatever you like.
I'm familiar with your type.
My type? What's the matter with me?
Are you aware of what you're doing to my son?
I've done nothing at all.
You've caused him to drop his career. Tom has a tradition to fulfill. He comes from a fine family. And I won't have him throw it all to the wind because of a silly infatuation.
It isn't an infatuation.
He must marry someone in his own class. Someone who'll inspire him to carry on his career.
I didn't talk him out of his career. He says he doesn't like medicine.
The right girl wouldn't allow him to stray. She would encourage him to follow through.
The right girl. Family. Tradition. It's all a lot of bosh. Everybody in this town has made up his mind that the East Bottoms mean the difference between somebody and nobody. Well, I haven't. I'm made of the same stuff as you or Tom or anybody else over there. I've a right to a decent existence.
If it's money you want, I'll give you money to let him alone. I'll give you a lot more than you'll ever get from Tom if you marry him.
Money? You'd pay me to give him up?
Yes. Here. Here's a check for $5,000.
$5,000? Is that all your son is worth to you? $5,000? If he were my son, and I thought I could buy his future, I'd give every cent I had.
What? You mean you want more than that?
Dr. Benton, you don't possess enough money to buy me off. I don't want money.
Well, what goes on here?
Hello, Tom. You came just in time.
What are you doing here, Father?
What do you suppose?
What's he been saying, Nita?
He just gave me this check for $5,000.
For what?
To let you alone, so you can continue your career.
What?
He thinks I'm wrecking your life.
He is.
That settles it. We'll get married tonight.
You won't get married tonight, not in this state.
We'll fly over to the island. That's in another state. They don't have the 3-day law. Get your things, Nita.
If you marry this girl, I'll never give you another cent.
I'll get along. Come on, Nita.
Tom, I'll stop at nothing to break this up. I promise you'll regret this moment so long as you live.
Let's go, Nita.
So Tom and Nita rush out of the house and drive to the airport just outside of town. A storm has come up, and the highway glistens in the beam of the headlights.
This rain is certainly like a cloudburst.
Maybe we shouldn't fly over tonight, Tom.
Why not?
I don't like to fly in a storm. How can you tell where to land?
Don't worry about that. I'm familiar with the field.
Who's on the island at this time of year?
Well, not many people. We've had this summer place there as long as I can remember. There's an old fellow and his wife who look after most of the places. He's also a justice of the peace. He can marry us. We'll spend the night at our place, and then we'll go someplace else tomorrow.
Tom, are you sure you want to go through with this?
Certainly. Why do you ask?
Your father meant what he said. Is it worth it? To give up everything?
You're worth a dozen family fortunes.
But now that I think about it, well, he sort of frightened me.
He didn't frighten me.
Oh, the way he said it made chills run up my spine.
Said what?
You'll regret this moment so long as you live.
Oh, he was just bluffing.
But somehow I don't think he was.
He can cut me off, but we'll get along.
Tom, why don't you finish your studies?
I told you, darling. I don't like medicine, and I never will. Why should I do something I dislike just because my father and my great-great-grandfathers liked it?
Well, what do you want to do?
Oh, I don't know. But I'll find something.
Tom?
Yes? What is it? Nita. What is it? What's wrong with you?
Oh, I don't know. All of a sudden, I got a terrible feeling. A feeling of foreboding.
Snap out of it, Nita. This isn't like you.
I know, but I can't help it. I'm frightened.
Of what?
I don't know, but I am. Oh, Tom, let's turn back. Let's wait, please.
Oh, no, you can't back out now. We're going through with this.
But he meant it. Your father meant what he said. I know he did. Please turn back.
I wouldn't turn back for all the money in the world.
I can't see a thing. No lights, nothing.
Now, don't worry. I don't need lights to land.
We should have come in a boat.
No, it's too choppy for a boat. This is the only way in weather like this.
Tom, there, I see a light. Just went on.
Yeah? Old Jenkins probably heard us.
The light is swinging.
Yeah, that's it. That's the field. It's a tiny one, but I can make it.
There's a light.
Yeah. We're all right now. Hang on. I'm going to set her down.
Tom! Tom, look out those trees! Pull up! Are they dead, Pa?
I don't know yet. Good thing it didn't catch fire.
Oh, who are they?
Don't know. Hold the lantern down here.
It's a woman.
Don't recognize her. Hey, this is young Tom Benton.
Oh, the girl is hurt bad. Look at her legs. They must be broken.
Yeah. Come along. We'll get him over to the house. Phone Doc Benton. Hello? Hello? Is this Dr. Benton's home? This is Jenkins over on the island. Is Dr. Benton there? Oh, is that you, Harvey? Well, you better find Doc and get him over here right away. It's young Tom. He tried to land his plane and hit some trees. I don't think Tom is hurt so bad, but the girl has smashed up something terrible. I don't know who she is. Yeah. Goodbye. Well, it didn't take you long to get here, Harvey. We've got him over at our place.
How in the world did Tom hit those trees? I had no trouble seeing the field.
The lights weren't on when Tom came in. Didn't even hear his motor until it was too late. He should have phoned me. He was coming. Hey, where's Doc Benton?
He was out on a case. He left his patient's house, so I left a message telling him I was going ahead and to come as quickly as possible. I brought some medical supplies.
Here we are. Tom's over there on the couch. They put the girl in the bedroom.
Few cuts on him. Don't think he has any broken bones. Oh, nasty bump on the head. Maybe a slight concussion. Well, I better have a look at the girl.
Looks to me like both her legs are broken.
Nita. Poor kid.
You know who she is?
Yes, I know who she is.
Was I right about her legs?
Yes. Both rather badly smashed up.
Where were they going on a night like this?
I imagine they came over here to get you to marry them.
Marry him? Well, I'll be darned. Wonder why he didn't phone me first.
They were in too much of a hurry, I suppose.
Too bad.
She's in a very critical condition. Extreme shock. Better get some hot water and plenty of blankets.
Yeah, right away.
Get the house as warm as possible and put more blankets on Tom.
I'll be right back. Martha?
Yes? How is she?
Harvey says she's in bad shape. Gather up all the bedclothes and coats you can. Got to cover 'em up good. Put on plenty of water to heat. I'll build up the fire.
Outside, the storm rages on. Harvey sits quietly beside Nita's bed, staring at her in a daze. Her breathing becomes shallow, irregular. A quarter of an hour passes. Then a plane motor is heard overhead. The ship sets down, and Dr. Jacob hurries to the house.
Tom's over there, Doc.
Tom.
He's been unconscious ever since we brought him in.
Can't find any fractures.
He's got an awful wallop on his head.
Yes. I see. No apparent concussion. He'll be all right in a short while. Get some pillows. Raise his feet. I want his head lower.
I'll get them.
You certainly got it hot in here.
Yeah. Harvey had us do that because of the girl. She's pretty bad.
Girl? Where is the girl?
Oh, in the bedroom there. Harvey's in there.
I'll have a look at her. Harvey.
Huh? Oh. Hello, Uncle.
What's the matter with you?
I just...
Are you crying?
No, I'm just... This is a miserable mess.
Fine example of a doctor you are. You have to learn to be completely impersonal about these things.
Oh, I know.
What do you say is wrong with her?
Both legs are broken. She's suffering from extreme shock.
Uh-huh. Better take your bag, go out there, and give Tom a shot of adrenaline. I'll attend to the girl.
Yes, sir.
Harvey gives Tom the adrenaline and proceeds to attend to the cuts and bruises. Then he moves to the fireplace and sits staring into the blaze. The storm rages on, and the minutes drag slowly along. 10, 20, 30. Then Dr. Jacob steps out of the bedroom.
Harvey.
Yes, sir?
Has Tom come out of it yet?
Not yet. He shows improvement. He'll be all right in a little while.
I see. Jenkins.
Yes, Doc?
Get us something to make a pallet. We'll carry him down to the plane and take him over to the hospital.
Sure, right away. I'll get 4 poles and some rope. I'll have 2 made in a jiffy.
Never mind 2, just 1. The girl is dead.
Then on the following day, Tom has fully recovered. Gradually, the events of the preceding hours begin to pass before him. The argument, the island, the plane, Nita screaming, and then the crash. And then Nita. Where is Nita? Tom sends for his father. But Jacob is already standing in the shadows of the room.
How do you feel, Tom?
Nita. Is Nita all right?
Oh, now, take it easy, Tom. Don't get excited.
Where is Nita?
Forget about Nita for the moment. You've been pretty badly banged up. A little more, and you'd have had a real concussion.
What about Nita?
If you insisted on flying to the island, why didn't you phone Jenkins to turn on the lights?
He heard my motor. We were in a hurry. Besides, I saw the lights.
Jenkins said he didn't turn them on at all. Didn't hear you till just before you crashed.
That's ridiculous. Where have you got Nita?
Nita is at the undertaker's.
She...
She's dead.
Good Lord. Was she... Did it happen in the crash?
No, she died about half an hour after I got there.
Were you on the island?
Yes, Jenkins found you and called the house. I was out on a case and got to the island too late to save her.
What was the cause?
Her legs were broken. She died from extreme shock.
Was there nothing you could do?
Nothing.
Did you try?
I resent that inference. You should know better than that.
I'd rather have had anybody in the world there than you.
Do you know what you're talking about?
Yes, I do. You hated her. You didn't give her half a chance.
Will you shut up and stop yelling?
What did you give her?
I gave her adrenaline.
It was probably water.
I've heard enough out of you. When you come to your senses, I'll consider talking to you. Good day.
Now Tom, his mind filled with suspicion, his heart burning with hatred, throws on his clothes, dashes out of the hospital, and goes to the island. He reviews the whole situation with Jenkins, each incident from the time he first heard the plane motor to the moment they took him to the hospital. Tom returns to town, arranges for an autopsy, and is now talking to the autopsy surgeon.
Well, Dr. Groberg, how about it? What's your report?
Well, both legs were fractured, but there was no compound fracture. There were several minor lacerations about the body and a head contusion.
Nothing there that would have caused death?
No, nothing.
What else did you find? Any evidence of poison?
No, none.
She was suffering from shock?
Oh, naturally, but not extreme shock.
Then she didn't die from shock?
Death from shock would have been prevented by the adrenaline administered.
Then you found adrenaline present?
Yes. That is what I can't understand.
What do you mean?
Well, one of the most difficult things to diagnose is the difference between extreme shock and internal hemorrhage.
There was internal hemorrhage?
Certainly. And this one was one of the easiest to diagnose I've ever seen. As you well know, adrenaline in internal hemorrhage is absolutely contraindicated.
In other words, you think her death was caused by the administration of adrenaline?
I do, definitely. But those things happen sometimes, regardless of how hard we try.
Yes. Well, thanks, Doctor. I'll see you later. Hello, Father.
Well, have you finally come to your senses?
Yes. Yes, I have. I'd like to have a little talk with you.
Very well. What about?
I've been doing a little investigating.
Investigating? Now, what are you talking about?
I'm talking about Nita.
Are you going to start on that again?
I am. And I'm going to follow it to a conclusion.
I don't want to have anything more to do with it.
But I do.
I've had a hard day, and I don't care to listen to any more of your idiotic babblings.
How would you like to have the grand old name of Benton? The untarnished reputation of your long line of surgeons blasted to 1,000 pieces.
What are you talking about?
How would you like to have it known that you, the eminent Dr. Benton, the trusted, the revered Dr. Jacob Benton, deliberately and with malice aforethought caused the death of a girl? How would you like that?
You're insane, positively mad.
Oh, no, I'm not. I've gone back over the whole thing. I know you hated Nita. You said I'd regret the day so long as I lived. You threatened to do something, and you did. At your first opportunity.
You are crazy.
You did everything to separate us. You tried to buy her off. When that didn't work, you killed her.
Get out of here. Leave this house.
You didn't just let her die. You killed her, murdered her.
Get out.
I know what I'm talking about. I had an autopsy performed.
You what?
An autopsy.
Go on.
She didn't die of shock.
What then?
She died of a very obvious internal hemorrhage, aggravated by adrenaline, which is contraindicated. You're a specialist in that line. You couldn't have made that mistake in 1,000 years.
But I was positive it was shock.
You knew what it was.
No, I must have been wrought up. I could have made that one wrong diagnosis that happens once in 1,000 times.
Oh, no, I saw the body. I could tell. With as little medical experience as I've had.
Tom, you mustn't say anything further about this.
Why not?
Oh, it would ruin my reputation.
Oh, now you're worried about your reputation. What's that compared to the girl I love?
Oh, but Tom, listen to me, please.
Good night.
Wait a minute. Wait, Tom.
Well, what do you want, Harvey?
I heard you. I heard every word.
So what?
I can't let it go on like this. I can't let you do this to your father.
What's it to you? You keep out of it.
No, Tom, now listen. You're wrong.
I know what I'm talking about. Nita was murdered, and I can prove it.
Your father had nothing to do with it.
Harvey, that's enough. Leave us alone.
I won't. I can't stand by quietly and see this happen to you. I won't.
Leave this room, Harvey. Don't say another word.
Now, wait a minute.
What are you trying to say, Harvey?
I did it. Your father's trying to cover up for me.
What do you mean?
He wants to save my future reputation. If it got out, it would be a blot against me.
What would be?
When Jenkins called, your father was out. He told me what had happened. I left a note for your father, took an emergency bag, and flew to the island in hopes I could do something.
Go on.
I thought Nita was suffering from shock. I was terribly upset because I was in love with her. So I gave her adrenaline. I wasn't experienced enough to recognize symptoms of hemorrhage.
Is that the truth?
Yes, now that he's told it, there's nothing I can do. I knew in an instant it was hemorrhage. When I saw the adrenaline vial, I knew what a terrible mistake he'd made. He was emotionally upset over the girl, and I wanted to give him a chance. It was done. I tried my best to pull her through, but it was too late.
I'm sorry, Tom. Terribly sorry.
Harvey guiltily leaves the library and goes up the stairs to his room. Tom stands staring at Jacob, then drops into a chair and begins to sob softly. A few minutes pass, then a shot. Tom and his father leap to their feet, rush up the stairs and into Harvey's room. Harvey is sprawled dead over the desk, a gun in his hand, and on the desk a note addressed to Tom. Read it, Tom.
Dear Tom, I can't stand it any longer. It's been driving me crazy from the moment I did it. Nita's face is before me every second of the day and night. I was in love with her. But when she ran away with you, I lost my reason. I imagined she'd be better off dead. I was filled with hatred. I knew she was suffering from hemorrhage, but I gave her the adrenaline in a bit of revenge. Now it's driving me mad. Forgive me. Harvey.
Well, that's the end. Another case of jealousy. Another example of the futility of allowing oneself to become a victim of the green-eyed monster, jealousy.
CBS has presented The Whistler. Original music for this production was composed and conducted by Wilbur Hatch. The Whistler is written and directed by J. Donald Wilson and originates from Columbia Square in Hollywood. Next Sunday, 9:15.
I, the Whistler, will return to tell you another unusual tale. Good night.
This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe.